Hey, Chad Tomaszewski with TSI today. We have Hasan Chehime next on Open Platform. Let's get into it. I'm Chad Tomaszewski, Chief Growth Officer with Tridon Communications. We're talking to industry leaders about the technology that's changing their business. This is TSI Today. Hey, Chad Tomaszewski here with Tridon Communications at TSI Today. Back here with Hasan Chehime with Milestone. Great company. I'm looking forward to diving into a lot more technology with you guys and some of the offerings that you have. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of that, why don't we talk a little bit about yourself, how you got to be where you are. Talk to us about your technology journey.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, Chad. You know, it's funny. It's almost 18 years now in this industry. And I started as a part-time. It was a part-time job while I was pursuing my Bachelor of Engineering, and I started as a technical guy, and went into sales, and here am I, 18 years. But I was lucky, Chad, to have a multicultural experience. I've worked in EMEA, in Asia, and here I am in North America. I've done also some business in South America, and that gives you exposure from of the industry from different angles. This is why I just consider myself lucky.
It's funny how a lot of us have gotten that. I think back to my education, and somehow I fell into telecommunications. My education has nothing to do with telecoms, but I've been doing this now for 30 years.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of us think we're lucky getting into it, but I have to go back and think that possibly what it was is that we gravitated to technology, and because it was so interesting and it's always evolving and changing, it was easy to stay part of it.
Yeah.
I often think that. Hasan, let's talk a little bit about Milestone. Great solution, great software. It would take us probably 2 hours to unpack absolutely everything. If you could give us a Coles Notes version of Milestone.
Oh yeah. And all my career I've been working with security manufacturers, and I've ended with Milestone today. And if I would describe Milestone in a one single sentence, I would say it's an open platform. And this is the power of an open platform. It gives users the freedom of choice. They're not stuck with one product. They could use Milestone, and they could use it with different cameras, with different access control. Milestone can integrate with over 3,500 technology partners. And Chad, these are security solutions out there. You name it, like intrusion alarms, access control, GIS, building automation systems, and this is where I would say the power of Milestone comes in. We're an open platform. We could support over 15,000 devices. Those are natively integrated into our platform, and when we build those native drivers with those devices, it's future compatible. Anytime those device manufacturers they make an improvement on their end, like let's say they've added a new feature by firmware, we make sure this new improvement is reflected into Milestone, and we give the customers and users the future proof. We give them the freedom of choice. Basically, they could go to the market and they're not stuck with one manufacturer product. And COVID actually taught us a lesson. With component shortage, you could build your investment based on one specific product, and what happens next if it's not available?
I think whether it's a mall, stadium, it really doesn't matter what a building downtown Calgary or Edmonton for that matter. A lot of organizations have difficulty taking all that technology and bringing it together. And Tridon as a TSI, the reason why we came at Milestone as a partnership was simply because it helped us take all those technologies that you'd find in building, from building automation to the security cameras, to access control, two-way radios, you name it, anything for tech inside that facility, I could manage it through one location. And I think that's really the magic sauce that we see behind Milestone. But let's break off into a scenario. Let's look at two different scenarios actually. First of all, let's look at an airport. if we think about all the technology at an airport, a lot of people take it for granted. They don't understand. There's Wi-Fi access points just like a lot of people would have inside their homes. Sure, there's probably a network switch or two in there too, believe it or not, just like you'd have in your home. But inside an airport, there's just so much. There's telecommunication rooms on top of telecommunication rooms with switch gear, Wi-Fi access points all over the place, not only for users like the people taking flights to use, but also for staff that's hidden networks. On top of that, of course, there is a myriad of cameras, often different technologies throughout the entire facility. How does Milestone integrate all that information and bring all that data back for something that's commonly used for the end user?
Yeah, and great question, Chad. Basically, when we think about airports, security comes in the first. We want to be able to make sure we have the right system in. We want to be able to secure passengers, employees, and basically our facilities. So from an operation perspective, our integration that we build with our technology partners allow us to bring in multiple technologies under the Milestone umbrella. Nevertheless, part of the recent merge that Milestone have done, we have our own server-based analytics, which basically it allows Milestone to move from a conventional regular video platform to a data-driven platform. So you could basically track down a human, you could track down vehicles, and you could start actually pulling this visual information and translating it into data. And think of a situation like a bag lost or bag left behind. Within Milestone, using our server-based analytics, you could instantly find the owner of the bag, or you could just track down a lost child, or you could even track down someone who just parked on the loading curb and left his car there, and you could instantly find this data because we're actually translating the video to data. We could integrate in with multiple access control, like let's say some of the older terminals, for example, might be using specific access control, but the new terminal might have a different access control. You don't have to rip and replace and swap all your existing investment, which is a capital investment eventually. We could take over and integrate with all these multiple platforms running within the premises of an airport.
So let's think about AHS, for example. There was a day when AHS, I think, had 4 quadrants inside the province. And, then it became one. But they have different technologies throughout the entire province. So let's say that in northern Alberta, they're using Cantech. And in central Alberta, they're using, Gallagher. And down here in southern Alberta, they're using Access. So what you're saying is, even though they're 3 completely different protocols for access control, Milestone would be able to manage all of them remotely at one location. So they wouldn't have to, if they wanted to create savings by ripping and replacing and making them all the same product, they could avoid that by simply using Milestone to manage all.
Absolutely. This is our advantage, is we could have all these multiple access control system integrated with the Milestone platform. You don't have to rip and replace your existing like access control. Plus, we're talking healthcare. We're very unique with what we've done with our healthcare. We've created a special product that actually address the challenges of a healthcare environment. We called it Hospital Assist. You could go at any time to our website and explore more about Hospital Assist, but we've created some analytics such as, a patient falling off their bed, for privacy reasons. We could blur cameras. We could even build this two-way communication with the patient. And this actually helped address some of the challenges that healthcare is facing, such as, shortage in staff. In a typical hospital, you've got one nurse to taking care of looking after 10 beds. How can we help her do her job efficient? We've created this plugin where we could actually write in notes and attach it to the tiles within the video screen on her station desk. So she could actually start inputting data on the patients into the Milestone system. It's a very unique product. We're really proud to say we're one of the only ones, or very few, I don't think anyone else have done similar health or healthcare product.
That's fantastic. I want to unpack something else you said about, you lose a child in a mall, say, for example. And I think as parents, our biggest fear is, you turn around and all of a sudden your kid's not there. And it's terrifying. And when we unpacked the Milestone solution, we were flabbergasted on what it can do. And there's some other organizations that have, in their native NVR have some of these capabilities, but they certainly didn't seem to be as robust, as strong as this. So imagine for a second, little Susie has a black backpack on and a green parka, and she's got long dark brown hair. Inside of the system, they can go in and basically type in as fast as they can type it in. The system is looking for it this quick. Child, brown hair, green jacket, black backpack, and it'll go through the entire mall. So Chinook, it could go right through the entire Chinook mall and identify where all the kids are with dark brown hair, carrying a black backpack and wearing a green parka. And in seconds, they've got it. And all of a sudden, what they've seen is little Susie actually just turned off to the right when her mom turned to the left, and she went down a corridor for the staff in the back, and she's actually in the back very scared right now. And we can get to her immediately. Now, heaven forbid something more nefarious should happen, but I just think every mall, any place where we have kids, we should have that stuff everywhere, so we never lose another kid in the world ever again. But I love the technology, and I'm looking forward to unpacking that a little bit more at a round table. Before we head into our round table, there is one question that we ask all of our guests I'd like to ask you. You've had a great journey.
Yeah.
And unlike a lot of my guests, you've got to do a lot of it internationally. So the experience is just amazing.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to young people wanting to get into technology?
Oh gosh, I would give a lot of advices, but I would say, what that stands out. Number one is basically you gotta know the basics. You have to know the basics, and from there but don't limit yourself to the basics. You have to extend your knowledge beyond the basics, and always approach matters with curiosity. Be curious about any subject, and just ask yourself and challenge yourself. Don't be afraid to fail. You gotta accept failure. And make sure you learn from your failures, and basically my last advice is you have to engage a lifelong learning, self-learning, where you cannot stop. Nowadays you can't stop, Chad. That you have to learn every day. Ask yourself every day, what have I learned today? This is my advice to young fellows, going into school or wondering what's future is hiding for them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the most wonderful thing about this industry, any part of technology, is it's always evolving. So there's always something new to learn. So it keeps it exciting. So I really appreciate it. Hasan, thanks so much for joining me. We're going to head over to the round table and have a chat again. If people wanted to get a hold of you, how would they go about doing that?
Oh yeah, sure. Anyone who would like to know more about Milestone, email me at hch@milestone.us, and that's hch@milestone.us.
Awesome. Thanks again, Hasan.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks.
Really appreciate that.
Thanks for watching TSI Today. I'm Chad Tomaszewski, Chief Growth Officer with Tridon Communications. Catch up with us next time when we learn more about technology and how it's changing business today.